Let's turn to Psalm 14. Psalm 14 and verse 1. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God, they are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. So,
Sorry.
So talking today about foolishness. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. When we think about foolishness, I want to clarify a little bit about thoughts on foolishness. There are intelligent people who are just naturally smarter than others. Kind of like there's people that are better at football. Please don't put me on a football field. And there's also something called education, and education tends to augment intelligence. So if you go to school, it tends to make you more intelligent. And then there's also something called wisdom. Wisdom, in my experience, doesn't have a whole lot of correlation to either intelligence, and it sometimes has an opposite effect on education. Because there's a lot of highly intelligent people out there in the world who are highly educated, who believe there's no God, which makes them very foolish, which is the opposite of wisdom. And our education system tends to teach people that there is no God. So when we talk about foolishness, that's the opposite of wisdom. And I ran across a verse the other day, a couple of verses. Let's turn to Proverbs 26. Getting that put in my face more. Proverbs 26 and verse 4 and 5. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. So there's two conflicting statements there. Answer not a fool according to his folly, and answer a fool according to his folly. And when I was reading that, it kind of struck me that that represents a little bit of frustration on God's part, where a fool doesn't think there's a God, and there's not much that God can say to the fool. So we hold a good testimony, we preach the word, but there are fools out there who won't listen. And there's nothing we can say or do to change their mind. We would like to, but that's not the way it always happens. I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. Who here is a child of God? There we go. Who here has never been a fool? No hands. Huh, good. Let's turn to Proverbs 2. Let's go to Romans 8. So Romans 8 and verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. So just confirming we are children of God. Now let's turn to Proverbs 22. Proverbs 22 and verse 15. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, So Chris just called you all not good. I'm calling you all foolish. But the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. So when we think about the rod of correction and what the Lord does for us, there are times when the Lord does correct us. And it's hard to take sometimes, and life is difficult, and we don't always know why things happen. But it is not our place to question the rod of God. It is not our place to question God's means. It is not our place to question what God is doing in our lives. There's complex things happening, and we know that it's not always easy. We have things happen. And when we're fellowshipping with each other, we need to remember that. God is never wrong. God does what he does. Life happens as it happens, because that's the way it is. And we can encourage each other. Let's turn to Proverbs 3. Proverbs 3, verse 11. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. It's a very frustrating thing as a parent to correct your child and to have them be given empowerment that your correction is wrong, and that the act itself that he's being disciplined for is not a mistake, and that the parent who's doing the disciplining is wrong. It's a very hard thing, and I can only have a little bit of insight into how the frustration that God must feel when we do that to him, where we say, God, you're being wrong, you're being unfair, you're being unjust. He's got his ways, he's got his means, and the Lord loves us, and we need to remember that whatever happens, God is king, God is ruler, and God knows what he's doing, and he loves us very much. And well, we got 2 minutes left. Chris already took it. And all the people said, Amen.